Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? When I was trying to get this podcast off the ground, I had a lot of questions. How do I record an episode? How do I get my show into all the apps people like to listen? How do I make money from my podcast? Well, the answer to every one of these questions is really simple. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. That means you can get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what I'm doing right now by reading this ad. When I started using Anchor to do my podcast, it was so extremely easy that I haven't even bothered to look for another app to use. I love this app. It's the only one I deal with, the only one I even recommend, period. I recommend you get on there ASAP. If you want to start a podcast, this is definitely the place to go. It's easy. You can drive around and record. You can sit in your basement and record. You can do it anywhere. It's fantastic. So if you've always wanted to start a podcast, make money doing it, go to anchor.fm/start, anchor.fm/start to join me and the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Adam Rich from the Really Rich Podcast. It's been a couple days, so I apologize. I had a long weekend, but we're back. And, I've been thinking, too, I talk a lot about things that you should be grateful for and things that you should appreciate and, what kind of things you have in your life and all that. But what I haven't talked about very much of, in that same vein, I guess, is the things that you should be thankful for that you don't have. Because I always take the angle of being thankful for what you have. If you have good health, good family, good job, good money and house, roof over your head, food on your plate, all that stuff. But I never really talk about being thankful for what you don't have. And this is huge, dude, because there's just as many things to be thankful for that you don't have as there are to be thankful for what you do have. And let's be honest, it's very easy to think about all the things that are in your life or that you've experienced at some point in your life or just memories in general that you're very grateful for. But there's a lot of times we don't think about the stuff that we don't have that we should be thankful for. Like sickness, illness, injuries, suffering, depression, anxiety, stress, horrible relationships with family or friends, a shitty job, lack of money, like a bad money situation. Maybe you have money problems or you're in serious debt. There are so many fucking things that you should be thankful for that you just do not have to deal with. Like, I think about this a lot. I think about people in other countries or even in America, but are living in really, really, really bad situations, whether it's their own fault or somebody else's fault. Maybe they were born into a really poor home or a really bad home with maybe they have an abusive parents. There are so many things in life that could be going wrong for you that maybe they aren't, but we don't think about those. A lot of times when we find, when we're looking for something to complain about, it's what we're missing. I don't have this, I'm missing this, I wish I had that. And we don't think about the stuff that we don't have to deal with in our life that's awful. Listen, I can only tell you about my own situation. I can't speak on each individual person's information or, their situation, how they grew up, what they're dealing with in life and all that. But what I know is this. There are a lot of bad people in the world. There's a lot of bad scenarios in the world. There's a lot of shit that people will get themselves into that's not good. And we don't really appreciate or show any gratitude towards the things that we're missing. I've had jobs in the past that were awful, that I just absolutely hated. I wanted nothing to do with, and the job was even good, but sometimes the management was terrible. I've dealt with I've been in bad relationships before. I've been in a school situation where I was going to school for just shit that I did not like, and I didn't know I didn't know how to get myself out of it at the time, because at that time I was young, still living with my parents. My parents were kind of helping me pay for this. So it's very difficult to go to your parents who are paying for your college education and say, you know what, maybe you should just not pay for it anymore. Maybe I just shouldn't go. They don't want to hear that. But I have been very, very, very blessed with wonderful, supportive parents that have taught me a ton. They've helped me out dramatically in so many areas that I can't even begin to thank them for. And it showed me, by their teaching, it showed me about things that I'm not going through that are horrible, that some people, listen, there's people in other countries that live in little huts that have no clean water, no food. They're strapped for food in bad elements, with disease and famine. These things exist. And if you're living in America and you're living in a decent area in the country, or your parents have a decent amount of money, or you have a good job and you have your shit together and all that, it's easy to forget that shit exists. Instead we'll find our own problems to deal with. Instead of dealing with famine and plagues, maybe you and your boyfriend are fighting a lot, and that's causing you a lot of stress, which is terrible. It's obviously not good. You don't like it. It's easy to get wrapped up in that. But if you take a step back and think about man, at least you have a boyfriend. At least you have somebody that cares about you, and maybe you guys are a little different. Maybe you can work things out. Maybe you can't. But at least if you're dealing with a bad boyfriend or a bad girlfriend, you can step away from that. People that are in countries that are starving and can't fucking find food, maybe they got lions chasing after them, or snakes everywhere, or spiders or scorpions or whatever. This shit could be in your hut, in your stack of hay that you call a bed. And you could be getting bit by different bugs and catching malaria. This shit is real. In China right now, you know how bad the coronavirus, the outbreak is going on. If you live in America, as of right this minute, there's only been 1, maybe 2 confirmed deaths and a few people sick, which is obviously, I don't want to see that. I don't want anybody to be sick. I want the coronavirus to go away forever. But if you look at the aspect of it's only been 1 or 2 people out of 350 million in the country is doing really well when it comes to the coronavirus. But people don't look at that. They look at it and they go, oh shit, somebody died. And then it sets off mass panic across the country. Shit, we all need to start washing our hands more. We need to watch who we're talking to, or hugging, or kissing, or holding hands with. It makes people scared, and it's good to, be aware of what could happen. It's good to be cautious and take precautions to keep yourself safe and healthy. But when you look at how bad it is in so many other areas of the world, it makes me grateful. It makes me thankful that that I'm not in that. You know what I mean? And I don't mean to rub that in anyone's face. I'm not saying it to brag. I'm just saying purely I'm grateful that I'm not in that. There's so many people in the world that suffer from depression. It's not a laughing matter. It's not something that should be taken lightly. It's not something that you should make fun of people for. I remember when I was young and I didn't know anything about depression, I used to say, oh, well, so they're sad. They just need to get their mind off of that. And that was a shitty way to look at it. I was stupid at that point. I was very ignorant to how real depression can be for people. So I don't take it lightly. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't grateful that it's something that I don't deal with. I've never been, I've had moments where I'm sad and stuff, but I've never been a person that would be considered bipolar or stress, that has depression. And so I can't sit here and talk about it like it's some light topic and it doesn't matter. It's real, man, and so many people suffer from it. And I feel horrible for them, and I wish that you get all the medical treatment and all the help in the world that you can to be better. At the same time, man, I don't think it, I hope that your doctor isn't pumping you full of pills and really fucking up your psyche in order to combat one issue. I think a lot of depression should be dealt with either psychological, psychiatric kind of treatment to not only give you the medicine and the pills to, combat the chemical makeup that's going on in your brain, but also to give you mental outs. And what I mean by mental outs is, I mean, like, when you're feeling down, if you're feeling sad, depressed, if you're in a really bad place, possibly even suicidal, there should be things that you are like, that you make yourself focus on that's good in your life, that I think that partially could help with the depression. I'm not saying that if you just, think happy thoughts that it'll go away. I just feel like if we took better care, like, of our mental health, everybody, myself included, if we all took better care of that and made it more of an active, thing in our lives, like people do with exercise. If people are overweight or maybe they have health issues, a lot of times a doctor will recommend exercise and physical, doing physical things to help your physical health. And I think we should do the same damn thing when it comes to mental health. I don't think it's always about pumping your head or pumping your body full of fucking medicine, because it does mess with chemicals and it does have side effects. There's always side effects when it comes to pills. Any kind of pill. There's always some kind of side effects. Some of them are super minor. Some of them are super major. But I just wish that we had better ways. And like I said, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I don't know. Maybe this is the best we can do. But I doubt it. It always feels like we always, every few years, come through some kind of a medical breakthrough that changes the game and makes things better for people. There's nobody living over 100 really, like 200 years ago. It's like, if you live to be over 35, that was like a good run, So that's another thing to be thankful for. Being grateful that you're not living in that time, that era where the medicine was worse, the technology was worse. Speaking of the technology, think of all the things that you get to use every day of your life that makes your life easier. It's easy to be thankful for the technology that makes your life better. It's good to be thankful for all these new improved, like, computers and internet and cell phones and fucking, cars and all this stuff. Like, anything that you can use that's technologically advanced, it's good to be thankful for those. But in the same respect, you should be very grateful that you're not living in the time without those things. Like, a lot of kids that are if you're under 20 or even under 25 right now, you really have zero idea what life is like without this technology of the internet and cell phones. You just don't you didn't have to deal with that. And you may understand, you may have read history books and you may know what it was like as far as reading, but you probably don't know what it's like to live like that. And if you're over 30, 35, you probably know exactly what it was like. You probably remember vividly what it was like to have to rush home when the streetlights were on, or you didn't have a cell phone for your parents to reach you, so you just had to be home at a certain time regardless what was going on. And if you didn't, your parents were fucking pissed. So you better have something wrong with you if you go home late. It's just, we're living in such a good time. It's easy to be thankful for the things that we have right now. It's hard to think about, or it's not that it's hard, it's just that most people don't do it. You don't really think about what things were like before these things existed. Like, dude, the internet and cell phones and, having everything available to you everywhere you go in your pocket on a fucking phone, on a little computer, is incredible. There was no social media. There was no, hey, what was that guy's name back in 1986 that did this? I don't know, let's Google it. That didn't happen. That didn't exist back then. If you wanted to know something and somebody didn't have the answer, you just didn't know it. And if you wanted to find out, you had to take your ass down to the library and hope that the information was somehow in there. You didn't have an instant answering machine constantly. You just didn't have it. And the fact now that you can actually make a career out of taking videos of yourself, putting that shit on YouTube, and then sponsors will pay you depending on how many people are viewing your page, it's wild as fuck to me. It's like every single person is a media source now. You don't need ABC and NBC and CBS and CNN and Fox and all these things. You are all of those things if you want to be. You don't have to be. For a long time, I took a huge break off of Facebook, and I really don't go on Facebook very often anyway, just because it's it's like the Wild West out there now, man. It's like everyone is pissed off on there and trying to fight with each other or trying to have disagreements about stuff. And whether it's politically, scientifically, or even just, I don't know, man, you could just put a post up and you're going to get some people liking it and you're going to get some people shitting on it or throwing their 2 cents in about why you're wrong. And it's just, I don't know. And I guess all social medias are like that to an extent, but Facebook just seems especially weird to me now. It's just not the same. But that didn't even exist 20 years ago. I mean, the amount of things that we don't deal with anymore that used to be a thing. Like, when I was a kid, and I think they still do this, but you get vaccine for polio. You get a vaccine for polio, right? Well, 100 years ago, dude, like, so many people were dying of polio. We don't wake up every day and say, and act thankful for not having polio. And maybe some of you do. Then you'd be doing much better than me, because as thankful as I am, as much as I constantly think about the appreciation that I have in life for all the good things that are around me, I still never think about not having polio. That's a new thing right now. I just thought of it. But it is a real thing. Like being grateful for not having diseases and not having illnesses and injuries that hurt, that harm you for the rest of your life. Like, you could thankful. You know how many times you drive to work and you make it safely and you're thankful that you didn't get into a car accident? Like, you might be thankful, like, at this minute thinking about it, but most people aren't driving and then they get to a destination and they stop and actually acknowledge how happy they are that something bad didn't happen. And I fall victim to this too. Like, that's why I know it's real. Because as much as I think about that kind of stuff, I don't think about it constantly. I don't think about every time something good happens to you, you can be equally as thankful that something bad didn't happen to you. And it's just it's just the truth. Every single thing. Like, I constantly talk about how being positive is not, it's not an intelligence level. It's not your IQ. It has nothing to do with the way, like, it's purely your perspective. I don't know any other way to really word it, but it's purely your perspective. You can walk into any situation and you can take a positive angle or a negative angle, depending on what the fuck you want to look for. Every single day I wake up and I got to head into work, right? Especially if you're at a job that you just hate. Every day when you wake up and you're on and you think about, damn, I got to go to work, you could think of it as, man, this sucks, I have to go to work. Or you could think of it as, damn, this is awesome that I'm healthy enough to be able to go work. And listen, I fall victim to this kind of shit too. It's just the truth. You don't always have that sparkling sunshine outlook on everything. There's things that happen bad to me where I'll get upset about it, or it'll bother me temporarily. But the one thing that I think I do better than at least most, I'm not saying I'm the best or I'm not trying to brag or anything. I'm just saying purely that I really try to do a good job of thinking about what is good about a situation. I try to, and it doesn't happen all the time. The one thing that I think I do better than most people also is that when something bad does happen, even if I look at it from a bad perspective, even if you're looking at things as like, damn, this sucks that I have to do this, or it sucks that this is going to happen now, or it sucks that we're on our way to go find this or do this or buy this now. The one thing I do when I do get mad is I get over it very quickly. Like, you can ask my wife, like, I get mad about stuff. Like, there's things that I'll see something on TV that'll piss me off. Like, somebody says something and I'm just like, oh, you're fucking stupid. But then almost instantly, I'm over it. It's just like, I try to, if I sense that something is making me not happy, I try to move on from it immediately. Because it is what it is. It's over and done with. Whatever it is that bothered you already happened. Now, if you're thinking about something that's coming up and you can't avoid it, then you shouldn't be wasting your time worrying about it, because you're going to have to deal with it. It is what it is. Like if you have to go to work today and there's no way you can avoid it because you desperately need money or you're out of sick time or PTO time or whatever, and you know you have to go to work, well then don't bitch about it. Just accept what it is. Deal with it as quickly as you possibly can, the negative aspect of it. And then try to move on from that. But I also encourage you to think about what's good about it. Like the fact that, listen, if you have a job that you hate, you could be thankful that you're not jobless, that you're not homeless, that you're not lifeless. We just don't think about all we try not to look at I don't want to say negative aspect of it, but the not part of our life, the nose, like I don't have malaria. You should be thankful right now that you don't have coronavirus. It's a thing that's going around the world right now. It's a big deal. It's all over the place. You should be thankful that you don't have it right now. And if you do have it and you're listening to this, I'm sorry, and I hope that you get better. I hope you get treatment right immediately. But instead of being upset that you have it, you should be thankful that it hasn't killed you and that you at least acknowledge that you have it quick enough to be able to go get treatment. You know what I mean? And I think that it's going to be very rare that somebody's going to listen to this and then they actually have coronavirus. Unless, like a year from now, half the fucking globe is wiped out from coronavirus and then somebody's listening to it now like, motherfucker, we all got it. So I hope that's not the case. I hope it goes away quickly. But listen, man, if you're living good, even if you're like tight on money, but your bills are getting paid, be thankful that you're not in the situation where you have to give up your house or you have to give up your cars or you have to give up your family or be thankful you're not in prison right now. Because I doubt if you're in prison, I doubt you're listening to this. And if you're in prison, be thankful that you're alive, that you're not dead. Be thankful that that you're not dead. You know what I mean? It's like we always think about all the things that we have. Even if you're a very appreciative person, usually we're thinking about things that we have. Things that we like. Things that are in our life that we wouldn't want to give up. And that's perfectly normal. I get it. I just want to push that narrative, though, more about things that you don't have. There are so many bad things that could be happening to you at this fucking minute. And they're not. So that's something worth celebrating. So I wanted to make this episode today to get this point across to people that it ain't just about, because there's a lot of people in life that don't really have a lot. And it's hard for them to wake up every day and be thankful. I mean, you should always be thankful that you're alive. You should always be thankful that you're taking a breath. If you're able to listen to this, then you should be thankful of the technology that you have at your disposal. You're clearly able to have the internet and listen to podcasts. So you should be thankful for that kind of technology. But also, people, take a step back and think about all the things that you've avoided in your life. Not just today, your whole life. You might have had a bunch of close calls. Maybe you can think back to a time where you were like, fuck, I came that close to being dead or being sick or being injured or losing my job or losing my husband or wife or losing my child or losing my parents or losing this or losing that or losing this. And you didn't. We all have moments that we can think about that you're just grateful that you skated by or you just made it out alive. I have a friend who got into a really horrific car accident 8 to 10 years ago. I want to say it might have been 10 years ago now, maybe 8 years ago, whatever it was. And I mean, if you look at the picture of this car, you're thinking it's impossible for somebody to be alive after that. I mean, the way the fucking door and the hood and the roof of the car and the windows, everything was just smashed right in where the driver's seat is. And somehow he lived. I guarantee you he thinks about he's grateful he didn't get killed in that car accident. But he's equally grateful that he is still alive. It's a 50-50 street. It's a one-way street. Everything is about perspective. You can either hate your job or you can be grateful that you're not jobless. You can either hate your house or your apartment or your trailer, or you can be thankful you're not homeless. It's a perspective, dude. And I just wish everyone would take a step back. And if you could wake up every single day and put that as your first primary thought about being grateful for even being able to wake up and be you should be thankful that you're able to wake up and be thankful. That in itself is amazing. And so many people don't think about that. But I just want to encourage people to please just start thinking about the things that you don't have that could be horrible for your existence. It's equally as important as all the wonderful things that you do have. But that's all I wanted to push today, guys. I love you. I thank you so much for listening. I hope that this helps somebody, man. I hope that it got through to somebody and that you really take a step back and think about all the wonderful things in life that you have and all the awful things that you don't have. And really start being grateful for the life that you're living, because someone out there is just praying and wishing that they had half of what you currently have right now. And that's true. If you found that person, they would tell you all about it, and maybe you would change the way you look at your own situation. Listen, I'm not saying that your life is perfect. Nobody's is. But I guarantee you it's better than most. If you're able to listen to this, and I don't mean it's great because you're listening to this, I mean if you have the ability to listen to this, meaning you have ears to hear, you have a brain, you have video technology or internet technology to be able, you have a cell phone. Like there's so many things that have to take place in order for you to hear this that you should be fucking thankful for. Not the message, but all the things that come with being able to listen to a podcast. There's so much in life to be thankful for. And there's so much in life that you don't have that you should be thankful for. And guys, that's all I wanted to push today, guys. I love you so much, and I hope that this helps. If you want to get a hold of me, please, if you want to leave me a voice message through the Anchor app, you can do that. Or you can find me on Instagram at Really Rich Podcast. You can find me on Twitter at Really Rich Adam. You can find me on LinkedIn, Adam Rich, founder and host of the Really Rich Podcast. You can find me on Snapchat or YouTube at Really Rich. You can find me on TikTok at It's Adam Rich. And yeah, I think that's about it right now, guys. And yeah, I just really encourage people to get a hold of me, talk to me, whether you agree, disagree, whatever. I want to hear from you. I want to hear your side. I encourage it greatly. I love you guys, and I thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace! I'm out of here.